Hello everybody, welcome back to One Perspective. I'm Brett and welcome to the channel. If you haven't been here before, this channel is all about solitude and solo camping. Today is a very special camping trip because we are actually in the south central region of Virginia, also known by some as Southside Virginia, in the county where my whole family originated from. Earlier today, I visited the grave sites of my fourth great grandfather and great grandmother and the second great grandfather and second great grandmother. Couldn't find the third great grandfather, unfortunately, but he's probably around here somewhere. Hear that rooster? We're on the back end of a sheep farm, and here's a little pond. Over here is some beautiful fall colors because fall has finally arrived. And not only that, the time has changed. So time is not on my side today. Let's walk around the property a little bit and get started. Right behind me here is a barn from the Civil War era. It's still standing. The roof is a little rough though, but it's cool to see structures like this still standing from hundreds of years ago. My host was nice enough to help me haul some of my stuff out here to the campsite already. They gave me a pick of anywhere I wanted to go, but I decided to go over here because it was the most open area. You'll see in a second. Well, here we are. Check out that tree in the background. I'm glad it's already down. My host actually told me that they have had several people from the area who came and told them that they used to play under that tree many moons ago. Also, they cut out this little patch for me just for my tent before I got here. And this is where we're going to be setting up the tent tonight. As I talked about in my previous videos, widow makers are a real thing. And you got to be safe when you're out here. You got to look around, make sure all the trees are healthy. You also want to make sure that there's no branches in the top of a tree branch that's going to fall out of there, as well as just dead trees. I know everybody can hear all those leaves crunching under my feet. Very dry, but they say the further I go this way, the more damper it is. Still, we don't want to take any chances tonight, so I'm actually going to have my campfire a little further up the hill near that shed, and I think that's going to be for the best. Just walking down through the woods a little bit further, see what I'm working with here. It gets a lot more denser the farther you go in. I was told there's a creek down that way, but it's very small. Well, look, I really want to do a lot more stuff right now, but unfortunately, I think we got to get camp set up before it gets dark. Okay, friends, the tent is up. We've got the tent staked down. We've got the rain fly on, and the rain fly is guyed out. So now we need to get the stuff in the tent. We can put the sleep system together later, but we need to get that down here before it gets dark so we can start cooking and also have a campfire. All right, we're back. A lot of time has elapsed since we last spoke. I've been traveling back and forth from the tent to my car, back and forth, dropping off some stuff here, dropping off some stuff in the tent, trying to beat the sun, because as you can see, it has gone down a bit. Also, the temperature has gone down a bit. I'm continuing to move, so I've got some body heat going, but once I stop and I stay still in this spot, my core temperature is going to drop. So let's get everything started, get the table up, get the solo stove out here, and make a meal. We'll put that one in later. Okay, so I set up this table, but we are definitely not flat. We're gonna have to try to find some flatter land. All right, so I don't think I'm gonna find any flatter land. I'm just gonna have to work with what I got. So unfortunately, I just gotta be really careful so I don't slide all the food off the table. All right, guys, we're keeping it simple tonight with a Southern specialty. That's mac and cheese with Spam. Now, growing up, this was one of my go-to meals. Now, I ate a lot of different things, but there was something special about macaroni and cheese and Spam. Comment below if you agree. All right, guys. This isn't exactly ideal for me. I'm kind of on a lean, so I have to be extremely careful, but I'm gonna make the best of it because we gotta get some food going here. All right, I think I'm gonna stand up a little bit. Ooh, don't want to cook that. I just applied a layer of bug spray because those mosquitoes are out today. Oh no. All right. I'm not going to be eating all these. This is too much food, but maybe I can try to save some somehow. All right, voila. All right, we did a little switcheroo here because the pan is better for the other one and the pot is better for that one. All right, pasta's ready. Just got to drain it a little bit here. Try not to lose too many noodles here. When my kids were little, they always wanted to suck the cheese out of the rest of this packet when I was done. They would probably still do it if I offered it to them. Did you do stuff like that when you were a kid? Comment below. All right. We're about to have some awesome meal very soon here. All right, guys. I'm a little bit on a lean here, but I'm going to enjoy my meal. So, of course, we got the classic mac and cheese and Spam. Let's give it a try real quick. It's just me, so I'm going to eat it straight out the bowl. Ooh, that's hot. I just put a little pepper, a little salt in here. All right. Might add a little bit more flavoring. And gonna go ahead and grab one of these Spams. The second batch came out a little bit better than the first. Now that's on point. All right, guys, I'm gonna enjoy my dinner with a sweet tea, which is, you know, the lifeblood of the South. When people ask me at a restaurant, would you like sweetened or unsweetened tea? I'm like, is that a serious question? No, baby, sweet tea every time. So I'm gonna eat my meal and I'll bring you guys back a little bit later and we'll join up around the campfire. All right, everybody, the night is upon us. And it's not even that late. The time is now 5:51 p.m. The temperature has definitely dropped. I got the coat on now, I finished up my meal, and as always, y'all know what time it is. All right, so now we got that fire going. We're gonna do a little bit of a cleanup and then we'll have a little chat later. All right, everybody, I finished up dinner. I got the campfire going. I'm straight chilling right now. The food is definitely settling. I ate a lot of the Spam, but just a little bit of the macaroni. It was pretty good, but my stomach hurts a little bit now. I'm just older. I can't eat stuff like this, you know. I was just trying to enjoy a old family meal I used to eat, but it might be a while before I try the macaroni again. So I got out here pretty late today. So I had to get a move on with the campsite and everything because it's getting darker now that the daylight saving time just ended last night. I don't really know how to feel right now because it's a little weird, you know. It should still be light outside, so my circadian rhythms are all messed up. Now, today, again, I am in my county of origin for my whole paternal family. It was pretty nice locating the grave sites. I went online and looked up some information about my fourth great grandfather and my second great grandfather. And for the first one, they didn't have an exact address. They had like geographical coordinates, okay, that I punched into Google Maps. And somebody left a short description online of how to find it. Never been here before. I've been to this county maybe once or twice, but I've never really been to see any graves here. I went to a family reunion out here once or twice in my lifetime, but that's the real extended family. That's like my second great grandfather's descendants. So that's a wide branch of family. And I have a more localized one. The one that I go to is basically the descendants of my great grandfather and great grandmother and their brothers and sisters' descendants. So it's a little closer, still a couple generations apart, but that's the one I'm used to going to. When I tried to find the graves, I knew that there were two twin brothers who used to take care of it, but sadly, they passed away. One of them passed away maybe 10 years ago, and when I went to look up the other guy, just 2 years ago he died. So I was like, geez, I don't know any of their kids really. I barely know them. So I just decided to come out here on my own and try to find it. And I did. It was a nice experience. It was a little surreal, especially the first one. I was walking up to the grave of the man who basically is responsible for me being here now. The firstborn here in Virginia in the United States. And I share his first name as my middle name. I don't know what he was like. I don't know what my fourth great grandmother was like. I don't know what they looked like. I don't know what color hair they had. I don't know how they spoke. They migrated here from England. We obviously have a little bit of Scottish heritage. You know, I've got red hair. Maybe he had red hair. Maybe he had a beard like me. I don't know. Probably didn't look exactly like me because we're several generations past each other. I don't know how many other family members have gone and seen those graves. I might be the only one from my immediate family or aunts or uncles. Now, I know you don't have to know where you come from to know where you're going, but it helps. It helps to know if you came from humble beginnings or if you grew up with a silver spoon in your mouth. And I can't imagine that my grandfather, fourth great grandfather, had a silver spoon in his mouth, you know. He was born in 1801 and died in 1875. So when I visited that grave today, he lived his whole life, died, and was buried over 100 years before I even came into existence. And it would take another 43 years for me to even see his grave. So, yeah, almost 150 years. It's kind of crazy. So far, so good in this county. It's very rural. It looks like a hunting paradise. I can tell you that much. Now, the early hunting seasons have started, and I've heard some shots around me today. It got me a little bit worried, though. You never know what direction they're aiming that gun, but I'm okay now. The theme of this camping trip is definitely about family, but Every camping trip is really about family in some regard, you know? Having a family is a wonderful thing. I believe that I have a wonderful family, and I believe that about my wife's family too. But having a great family doesn't mean it's perfect. You know this. Every one of you knows this. You can't be defined by one action, one phrase, one statement. Overall, you can be a good man or woman. You're going to make mistakes along the way. But it depends how those mistakes were made. If those mistakes were made in the pursuit of safety and well-being, then I guess that is just a lesson learned. I've got a wife. I've got 3 kids. I love all of them with my heart. Now, I believe in all of my kids. I believe all of them are intelligent, but all 3 of them are different. They have their own motivations. They have their own pros and cons. And they all kind of function differently, you know? I don't treat my kids different, but I know my kids' pressure points are different for each one. Someone once asked me at work, "Are you glad to be a parent?" And I said, absolutely. Being a parent is awesome. You get a little small version of yourself that you get to mold into, hopefully, a better person. There's something special about your kid when they're very young, because they need you. The older they get, the less they need you to a certain degree. And if you are annoyed by young kids screaming, crying, getting sick, making a mess, once they stop coming to you for their problems, you're going to miss it. You're going to miss holding them. You're going to miss watching them run around and play, be innocent. I love being a dad. I wouldn't change anything. When your kids are growing up, though, you got to put them in the right direction the best way you can. That's not always easy. You don't always say the right things. As a younger parent, you're experimenting with your parenting style too. You don't know everything. They definitely don't know everything. A lot of times they don't know anything. Their brains aren't fully functional until 25. That's when all the reasoning is matured. That doesn't mean they're going to make good decisions at 25, but their brains have fully formed. So that means all that time in grade school, all that time in college, they're not even ready to think as an adult till they're done with all that stuff. So it's incredibly important for you to be part of your child's life in those early years. Along the way as a parent, I read something, saw something online about parenting. It said, you can't be your kid's friend. You have to be their parent. And although I'm not trying to be my kid's best friend, I want them to like me. I want to have a good relationship with them. I want to laugh with them. I want them to be able to tell me things. I want to be able to tell them things. I struggle with that. I think a lot of people do. Because in these years where your kid is growing up and you're trying to be a good part of their life, if you don't do that by the time they walk out the door and be out on their own, they may never return. So if you didn't do the job that you wanted to do before they moved out, they might lead a bad life. That doesn't set well with me. When you deal with other family members who are older than you, if they've ever offended you by what they're saying, it's for a couple of different reasons. One, they're from a different generation. So attitudes are definitely different. Values are definitely different. And you might have been offended by what they said to you. But those people really took to that advice that I talked about earlier, where they said, don't worry about being that kid's friend. They weren't ever worried about me being their friend. They were more focused on saving my life and saving my soul. It was done in the pursuit to help me. But it's still lacking something. Me reciprocating the respect or love back. It just feels preachy. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't hold your kids accountable. You definitely should. But you don't want to say the wrong thing and push them out the door to never come back. You're going to make mistakes. You can't be perfect. Just every day tell your kids that you love them. Give them the emotional support that they need. And tell them that if life ever becomes too hard or they get behind, they've always got a home to come back to. Check out that caterpillar. Probably don't want to get bit by him. All right, everybody, we have migrated to the tent. Unfortunately, it started raining a little bit out there. At first, it was just kind of a light drizzle, but then it picked up to the point where I had to make a decision. And I had to move the log around in the fire so I could put it out and come in here. Now, I want to show you one of my new pieces of gear that I just recently got. This is the Ryobi. Now, a lot of you might own some Ryobi products, whether that be a weed eater, a lawnmower, a little magic vacuum, what have you. But check it out. I was at Home Depot one day and I saw this, and this is actually a battery bank that runs off of your batteries that you have for your Ryobi products. So we're going to check this out tonight because I want to see if it will work with my heating pad. All right, check that out. Okay. You got two USB-A ports in the back plus a receptacle. Now this is a 150 watt 18 volt battery power source. So we'll see how that works. So this is one of the newer batteries that I bought from Home Depot. Check it out. You just slide it in here like this. Boom. Well, look, I got full charge here. So let's see if this works. All right, now this is an old heating pad that I got. It's definitely had some mileage, but it still works. Now here's the moment of truth. All right, if you see that red light, it's gonna turn on. Oh no! I don't think it's strong enough. That's too bad. But let's check it out with my phone. Okay, everybody, I've got some good news. The red light is on. So, I'm not sure what I had to do here, but see that little green button here? I had to press that in a certain way. It wasn't just a tap. It was like a press and hold. So we're gonna see if this heating pad really heats up. I think it will since it's on, but this is great news here because I recently purchased a Mr. Heater portable buddy heater, but I haven't gotten some of the stuff for the floor to keep it from melting my tent. And also I'm still in a 3-season tent that you can't stand up in, so there's not a lot of room in here and it could be a little dangerous to have the heater in this tent. I have an older tent that has less mesh, so the heat will stay in. Personally, I'm planning on purchasing a 4-season tent, or at least a extended season tent, as soon as I can. But for now, actually, it's not even that cold. To be honest with you, it's only 54 degrees, and it only might reach 50 degrees tonight. So the little heater, it might be overkill anyways. But that'll be for another episode. But so far, so good here. And I'm already feeling some heat in the heating pad, so I shouldn't be cold tonight at all. All right, so if any of you are interested in purchasing that particular piece of gear, I will link it in the description box below the video. But guys, I think I'm done filming for tonight, you know. I'm just gonna chill out, watch some YouTube videos. I brought my Nintendo Switch. I don't know, might jump on a game, might not. Last time I brought it and I didn't even play it, I just went to bed. I also brought my Kindle. I am still reading Fahrenheit 451. It's been over half a year, but I just kind of read here and there. I just usually, I'm too tired at night to read. But as always, guys, I promise I'll bring you back when the sun rises. Good morning, everybody. The sun is up. Still a little bit rainy, but last night the rain really came down. It was pretty relaxing. I went to bed at first, but then unfortunately I woke up like about an hour and a half later, and it took me a little while to go back to sleep. So not the greatest sleep last night, but the rain was incredibly peaceful. So let's get up, move around, get some breakfast started, and pack up. Look at this guy. That's a slug. He's a big one too. Getting his nasty slime all over my tent. Get out of here. Hey there. Bye-bye, black sheep. Hi, I know you want some attention. Come here. Hey, come here. Come here. Let's get those belly rubs in. We got a friend that's joining us for breakfast here. You got the owner's dog over here. So friendly. You want some attention? You want some attention? I gotta eat some breakfast. I gotta eat some breakfast. You gonna let me eat some breakfast? All right, come on. I gave you some attention. All right, friends. We're about to start some breakfast here, and today's breakfast is Peak Refuel biscuits and sausage gravy. A favorite of mine. Haven't had it in a minute. Looking forward to it. And I got some G7 Gold coffee. Very good stuff. My nephew graciously gave me like a 50-pack. This big old pack when he came to visit me recently. And thank you, V. Woo. Gotta get those biscuits down in there. That's the driest part. They're good, but you gotta get them moisturized. All right, we're sealed up and we're gonna wait 10 minutes. All right on time. Coffee ready, sausage and biscuits ready. We're about to have a meal. All right, everybody, we're going back to a classic here, the biscuits and sausage gravy. This is actually a Southern classic too, you know. Some people call it SOS. Comment below if you know what that stands for. All right, let's try some of this coffee. Hopefully I don't burn myself. It looks like it's pretty hot. Yeah, it's a little bit hot. All right, let's see what we got going here. I can tell you though, so far, just from trying that coffee, I don't know, that might be better than the regular G7. It's G7 Gold. You know what's funny? The bag that I got it in, it had 50 packs of the regular G7 and it had that as a little special edition. And they almost did it like a toy in a cereal box. So I was in there trying to dig it out so I could have that one for this trip, and it's good. All right, check this out. Looks pretty good, huh? Oh man, so good. Cheers, everybody. Fall is here. All right. I'm really gonna have to let that cool down. I want some so bad, but I'm not gonna be able to feel my tongue soon here. I've really enjoyed my little short trip here out to the county of my family origin. It was a nice experience to stand at the graves of my great-grandfathers, to walk around in the lands of my ancestors. What did they do when they were growing up and having careers as adults? I don't know. But whatever they did, they lasted long enough to make sure that I showed up. And, you know, that's the way it should be. You live a good, long life. You make mistakes along the way, but hopefully you have more successes. We're not all dealt the same hand, and sometimes we make very critical mistakes. But usually when a person lives a good long life into their late 70s, early 80s, when they pass away, we don't say it's tragic. We say they lived a good long life. But unfortunately, a family member of mine who's close to me passed away at the age of 41. This was my second cousin, and his name was Marshall. Now, in my younger years, Marshall and I hung out a lot. We had a lot of the same interests. In fact, he has a twin brother. And at first, we all hung out together. But eventually, Marshall was the one who came around the most. I first met him and his brother when they were about 15 years old. I guess I was about 17. And we always used to catch up at the family reunions at my grandfather's house. He actually had a billiard room with a pool table and a dartboard. And all the kids would go out there and have fun while the adults are talking, eating food. So we played some pool, got to know each other. And eventually I said, hey, you guys want to come hang out with me sometime? So they lived on the other side of the county, and they came over to my house, stayed the night. I went to their house, stayed the night. We became really good friends. Now, I am an only son. I have a sister and I have cousins on both my dad and mom's side, but they're all girls. So I don't have any brothers. So it was nice to have someone who's a male to be a friend at that age of my life. So we've done everything together, me and Marshall. He was with me before I met my wife, and then hung out with me and my wife. We've gone to rock concerts together. He got me into Metallica, one of my favorite bands of all time. We have gone to movies together. We've gone to restaurants together. We have gone camping together. We've gone on vacation, one time to Nag's Head together. We've done a lot of stuff. And sadly, that no longer will be. I even asked Marshall to be in my wedding party. But unfortunately, he couldn't make it because he was deployed in Iraq at the time. He was an Army veteran. And when he got out, a few years later, he used the GI Bill to get a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. He was a smart guy. But over the past 5 or 6 years, we kind of grew apart. Him and me, we just picked different paths in life. I got married and had kids. He didn't. And I wish we could have stayed together more closely, but sadly we didn't. Every once in a while, though, we would still catch up because we had that much in common and we had that history. The last time I saw my cousin was August 2nd. We met up for some pho, and if you know what that is good stuff. That is Vietnamese noodle soup. We met up at a popular spot near where I live, and we ate there. I bought him lunch. And then later, we went out to a popular firearm and hunting store, and we walked around, talked about stuff, had a good time. When we left the store, on the way out, Marshall turned to me and he said, "Brett, you've always been a good friend." I gave him a hug, and I walked to my car, and that's the last time I saw him. I had been telling him about how I was doing these camping trips and posting them on YouTube, and he told me, "I'd like to come sometime with you," but sadly that opportunity has expired. Well, Marshall, we didn't get to go camping this last time, but you did make it in the video. And this video is dedicated to you, in your memory. I love you, brother. When I see you again on the other side, we're going to have a family reunion. There's going to be a big buffet spread, and there's going to be fried chicken. There's going to be cabbage with ham hock. There's going to be green bean casserole. And damn it, man, you know there's going to be corn pudding. And after we finish eating that feast, we're going to go to the pool room. And I want you to rack up the table because I'm ready to break. I miss you, man. And I'll always keep your memory in my heart. God bless you, man. I'll see you again one day. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on this trip today. It has been a pleasure to walk around the lands of my ancestors. Now, I truly believe that blood is thicker than water. And events like the passing of my cousin kind of bring into perspective Where are you with your relationships and your family? Because tomorrow is not promised. About the hour or the day, no one knows. Not the angels in heaven, nor the Son. Only the Father. Your fate might be known by God, but you can write your own destiny. If you have a family member that you have lost touch with or are not in agreement with, maybe try to reach out to them and get back in touch with them. Because if you don't and something happens, you might regret it for the rest of your life. I love my family. I love my wife's family. And I hope they're with me as long as they can possibly be. Guys, always keep the faith. Always keep an open mind. And never, never be afraid to be a dissenter in a world full of opposition.